Hello everyone and welcome back to another Wizard101 video. And in a similar vein to a few days ago, I am making a video on what gear sets are the most overrated. So basically, what gear sets do you not actually really need in Wizard101? I made the video a few days ago, what gear sets do you need? Because I listed very specific gear sets throughout the game that you really do need, and by need I mean like without them the game is significantly harder and you're just not going to be having a good time. Today I'm going to be going over the gear sets that you really a lot of people say that you need and tell you that you will need, but you really just don't. They're just not worth it to get. They're a bit overrated. Yeah, so let's get into it. This probably isn't going to be I don't think anyone's ever told you this, told you to get this, but I just wanted to mention this on the way to where I'm going, which is never buy one of these starter bundles, just particularly because they cost very much a lot of money, and you can see that they actually do give good stats, but they really aren't worth it. The only reason why you would want to buy one of these clothing bundles is if you just started the game and got and wanted the broomstick mount, because the broomstick mount is actually good. Now I would like to say actually that the fire bundle is surprisingly good for level 1, and you can see here that the wand gives 10 fire damage, which makes it legitimately you could use that wand all the way up until like Polaris, post Polaris. But that's beside the point. Let's get into the first gear set that everyone tells you that you need, that you really don't, and that is Mount Olympus gear. Now, I don't really understand where the idea came from. Like, so many people I've noticed think that they either need Zeus gear or have been farming for Zeus gear for a very long time to get it. I don't know where the idea that people need Zeus gear came from, but it is not necessary to play the game. Really, I found that you don't need a lot of, you don't need gear like this or any specific set of gear up until level 56, 60, and that is because the game doesn't really start getting that difficult until that point. Really, the only reason why you'd maybe want Zeus gear is if is for Winter Tusk, because Winter Tusk is legitimately difficult, but even then, I don't think it's necessary. You'll just have a lot easier of a time. Yeah, I think that it's not... The problem is, right, is that it is good. The Storm Robe gives 15 damage, which is a lot of damage, actually, at that level. It's just a matter of... It's going to take a significant amount of time, like, unless you get a drop every single run, which probably isn't going to happen, right? Say it took you 10 runs, and each run took you 30 minutes, which is actually a decent speed, right? That would be... like 5 hours of runs, and in 5 hours, if you started this in Mushu, you could get to Dragonspire and even probably a little bit into Dragonspire, which is just, it means that like by the time you're done farming this, you could already have gotten to the level that you need, that you can get Marleybone gear and the Imperial Palace gear, which is objectively better. So really, I just don't think that this gear is necessary in the slightest. I think that it's just very overrated is what I'm saying. I think that it is good, as I've said, but it's definitely not worth it. And you know what? That goes for every single Aquila set. They're good to have, but they're just not necessary, which is the problem. Now, am I saying don't go get Zeus gear if you don't want to? No, you can get Zeus gear. I'm just saying that it's completely unnecessary to do so. It's not like you're going to fail the game if you don't get the Zeus gear, right? Which is really just the point I wanted to make. What was I doing here? Oh yeah, okay, I was going over here. So, really, that's my first point. Let's move on to the next gear set, and you can probably tell where I'm going. So I'm just going to start talking about it before. I am going to be talking about the Waterworks gear. Now, you may be like, Noah, what? Waterworks gear? You don't need Waterworks gear? I thought that was one of the most important gear sets in the game. And yes, it is. I would say it's an important gear set. But I think, as I've mentioned quite a few times, for some reason, nobody seems to know about the Winter Tusk crafted gear. And let me tell you, the Winter Tusk crafted gear is equal, if not like slightly better in some cases than the Waterworks gear. For example, I want to go on my Myth here, who is level 80, and you can see here, I'm still using full Winter Tusk crafted gear, except for the boots. But even then, I would still be using the boots if I didn't have this set right here. It's perfectly acceptable to use this because all the stats are almost just as good as the Waterworks gear, except for the resist. And if you've watched my past videos, you might know my opinion on resist, which is you don't really need it. My Myth, you can see, still has 30 resist because of his pet, which gives 10. But before that, I only had 20 resist, and I didn't really care. Honestly, I think it's just fair. You can see I have almost 100% accuracy. I think the gear set is really just enough, which is all it needs to be, right? Is enough until you can get to around level 100 and start switching out that for the Darkmoor set. I think a lot of people think you need specifically the Waterworks one, but I've mentioned time and time again, you don't need the Waterworks. You can settle for the Winter Tusk gear and be perfectly fine. Like, you will be completely fine right up until level 100. First off, let's just look at my bear doing some front flips, you know? Have a good time. Having a good time. Hell yeah. Alright, moving on. The final gear set is one that I think is going to spark some controversy in a lot of people, but is one that I think is necessary to point out, because a lot of people, I feel like, don't know. The final gear set in this video is the Dragoon gear, the Catacomb set. Now you may be like, whoa, calm down, Noah. You said some hot takes in the past, but this one is the hottest take of all. Well, yes, but actually no. So, the reason why I'm saying that the Dragoon set is not necessary is specifically the set bonus is not necessary for specific schools. Now, I'd like to mention, for Fire, yes, it is definitely worth it. For Storm, it's worth it. But for just about every other school, that extra 4% damage isn't really going to help you. So, what I'm here to say is, if you want to settle for, God, this music's loud. If you want to settle for just getting the Vanguard gear, you can. That's what I've done on my death. I've already decided, like, I don't need to get anything above the Vanguard gear just because that extra... I already have max accuracy, and that extra damage just isn't that appealing to me. Sure, like going from 141 to 145 would be sick, and it would actually be more like 147. That would be good, but I can perfectly settle for that, right? If my Fire didn't have this... Right now, if my Fire didn't have Dragoon gear, right? So if he had 2 sets less, he would still have like 160 damage, you know? He would still have a decent amount of damage. It's just a matter of that... Sorry, I started spacing out. It's just a matter of, like, min-maxing, right? My Fire, I've already started the process of getting Dragoon gear. I made this ring back when the ring was the meta rather than the amulet. And now I really wish I'd crafted the amulet, but it's too late. I think it's important to note that, like, I've had these Vanguard boots now for almost a year. And I haven't had the real urge to farm for stuff. You can see I'm close, but I haven't had the real urge to farm for stuff just because it's not entirely necessary. This damage right here, like anything above 140, which you'll have if you have the Vanguard gear, can get you through the game perfectly fine. Like, you don't need like the 200 damage that Fire can get in Caramel. That's not necessary, right? You just need the Vanguard, and you'll be satisfied with the Vanguard. So that's really all I wanted to go over today. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comments below. I think some people will. I just don't think you need the Dragoon gear. You can settle for the Vanguard gear. So, thank you all for watching this video. If you enjoyed, if you found it useful, drop a like, hit the sub button. If you disagree, let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know if you have anything you want me to go over in a video. I will gladly go over it for you, if I think that it's worth going over. So, thank you all for watching. See you next video. Have a fantastic day.